Welcome to the Wolverine Confidential Podcast, brought to you by Corewell Health. I'm Andrew Kahn.
And I'm Ryan Zook.
Michigan football does not have a game this weekend, but there's still plenty to talk about with the program and around the Big Ten. Do the Wolverines look like a Big Ten and playoff contender? If not, what do they need to fix to become one? We discuss coming up on Wolverine Confidential. All right, Ryan, good to be with you here. Thursday afternoon, September 25th, two-man pod with Aaron taking some time off during this bye week. I want to point out, Michigan Stadium will not be unoccupied this weekend. First ever concert at the Big House, revenue generator for the athletic department. Zach Bryan, country singer, the headliner, not to be confused with Luke Bryan or Zach Brown or Luke Combs. Or former Michigan tight end Zach Gentry or Luke Schoonmaker. But it is Zach Bryan. John Mayer is opening. Maybe one other artist too, but I don't know. I didn't consider buying tickets. I didn't consider asking MLive to cover it. I assume we'll have someone covering it. Not really my favorite artist, but I'll be on my back deck close enough to hear it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm pretty close to you too, but I think I'm probably out of earshot from the stadium. But it'll be interesting to see what I mean. It sounds like downtown's going to be town's going to be busy this weekend with. I think there's something Friday night too, like a concert in the street type of thing. So yeah, I mean, to me, I prefer football over concerts. So, but no, it'll be interesting to see what the reviews are for the first major concert at Michigan Stadium.
Yeah, just the acoustics and all that, I guess. I'm wondering if we should try to work in a bunch of Zach Bryan's song title, references into this podcast. Do you remember when that was a thing with Taylor Swift at like the height of the Eras tour with Travis Kelce? I mean, it was just nonstop. Like all Chiefs highlights, they'd be like, "Oh, there's some bad blood between those players," and "Oh, she's got to shake it off." And oh my god, it was so.
I mean, a lot of them probably would have gone right over my head.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I don't know if Zach Bryan's got quite enough hits to warrant that, but so be it. Let's get into it. First thing, kind of news from the week. Got to speak to Sherrone Moore for the first time in a long time. He could recap the last two games really, which he did. He didn't really mention Biff Poggi by name with us or on his appearance on the athletic department podcast, radio show, I should say. But so be it. I guess what were your takeaways from kind of Sherrone Moore's, recap of his time off and how he thought Michigan played?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was thrilled with how Michigan played in both games. But yeah, like you said, it was a little surprising he didn't give like any shout out to like Biff Poggi for taking over the team while he was gone for 8 days. And it seems like he was definitely frustrated by the late first half debacle of not and time and clock management. He was asked about that on Monday too, and basically just said no comment. So I don't know if there's a little bit of frustration there, but yeah, I mean, for all the love letter and love talk that Biff Poggi was saying towards Sherrone during his few press conferences, to not get that returned, it seemed like was a little bit odd. But it sounds like Sherrone is really happy with where the program's at. Was pleased with how the team responded after a pretty poor performance at Oklahoma. So yeah, I mean, he didn't say where he was watching the game during the press conference. Just said that he was taking notes on every play. But I think it was Nathan Afobe who mentioned that or one of the players said on Tuesday night that he was at home watching. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how things go with him returning to the sideline, but definitely happy with how the team bounced back in his absence.
Yeah, he was specifically asked about, the offensive line because we had learned that he had spent a little more time with them leading up to that Central Michigan game, and they looked really good these last couple weeks. I know, on the radio show, they talked about Greg Crippen a lot, who is someone we highlighted on, the most recent episode for his, his key blocks on the long touchdown runs against Nebraska. The unit is gelling, and they'll have some decisions to make as far as, if guys come back healthy, who are their best five, to actually roll out there when they do return from bye 2 Saturdays from now against Wisconsin.
No, you nailed it right there. I mean, it would be hard for me to envision at least Brady Norton coming in, even with healthy, and taking a starting spot away from either Nathan Afobe or Jake Renera at this point, just based off how the unit has gelled the past 2 weeks. I feel like whenever Gio El Hadi is back, I mean, he is the most tenured starter on, or yeah, player on that line, a captain. I think you're going to plug him in as soon as he's healthy. But then it's a debate of, do you go with Guarnera or Afobe at right tackle, or at right guard? Just because I think, I mean, Guarnera's played well both games. I think Afobe played really well against Nebraska. And yeah, I mean, I think, and Norton didn't really do much in his time before getting hurt, and he was questionable the last game, didn't play. I don't know if he was available to play or not, but it looks like Michigan's already kind of made some decisions in at the guard spots already.
Yeah. Anything else from Sherrone or any of the players we talked to earlier this week that kind of stood out to you?
Nothing. No, I mean, it's just, it seems like this bye week's coming at a good time. I know they're only 4 games in, but I mean, we saw the injury report against Nebraska. It was lengthy. A lot of guys banged up. Yeah, like Zeke Berry, starting cornerback, didn't play. So they could. I feel like they could definitely use this week to get healthy. Some guys mentioned some chiropractor, just did some chiropractor work. Yeah, just getting their bodies ready because it is a long season. And but yeah, I mean, winning that first Big Ten game on the road is huge for is big time momentum for this program moving forward, and there's a lot in front of them now the rest of the season.
Yeah, so Sharon talked about kind of splitting this season into quarters, like a football game is. They've played 4 games so far. They will have a bye now. Then they will play. He said 4. It's actually 5 before another bye, and then 3 to close it out. And then the fourth quarter would be the postseason, because usually you have a break before your bowl game, wherever that would be for Michigan. I'm confident saying they'll be playing somewhere in December or January. So yeah, I guess let's kind of use this time to reflect on how Michigan's opening quarter went, sort of big picture through 4 games. Like we all said, me, you, and Aaron, 9-3, but no playoff. Like, do you still believe that? Is that, were we a little too pessimistic? Maybe Michigan, again, 2 games that were toss ups. They won one, lost another, but I feel like they're trending in the right direction. But yeah, I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely are trending in the right direction, but I think maybe some teams on their schedule have punched above their weight early on this season too. I mean, USC is off to a hot start, one of the top offenses in the country. Washington has been fantastic offensively. So I mean, I still think some of those games we talked about beforehand are toss ups, and one of them is, yeah, USC, and then Ohio State too. And I think they could potentially. I feel decent about the USC trip, but like again, if you're playing that on a neutral field in like a neutral time zone, I'm feeling a lot better about it. But and that's gonna be a tough. I mean, we just saw Michigan State have to travel there, and yeah, they were made it kind of close at the end, but it never seemed like Michigan State actually had a legitimate shot at winning that game. Um, and then yeah, Ohio State's going to be Ohio State. Like that's, I mean, they're probably the most talented team in the country, or in the conference, and it will be a tough game too. But I mean, with how many young players Michigan's playing, and to see the development from the Oklahoma game over the next 2 weeks through Nebraska, you gotta like where things are trending. But it's still it's not, and nothing's guaranteed for this team this year. But it is, compared to other schools, it is a favorable schedule for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at your Big Ten power rankings, and it's like they've got 2 games against teams ahead of them. You got Michigan at 6 right now, USC at 5, Ohio State at 1, but Washington behind them, Maryland, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Northwestern. You got up at 16 and 17 in an 18-team league. So yeah, overall, there's certainly wins to be had there. Let's talk about surprises that we have from Michigan's first 4 games, good or bad. I'll give a good here. Um, The offensive line in the running game, a little better than I thought it would be. I mean, Justice Haynes has just been explosive. I mean, he's looking like one of the better backs in the country as far as his production, hitting the big plays, and now starting to just churn out some of those first yard gains that they need too. Not just the boomer bust that we talked about a couple weeks ago. And a big part of that is the offensive line. A lot was made this week. Kind of got into the weeds with some players on outside zone blocking. Got me watching some YouTube videos about it all, and I could see why it can be a challenge for teams to defend. And I think it just fits well with what Chip Lindsey is trying to do, stretching the field horizontally, making teams defend sideline to sideline. And when you got a mobile quarterback, that helps too. So that's my kind of stock up. Pleasant surprise, the offensive line and the running game so far. How about you?
No, I think the running game has been fantastic. It's fantastic, especially Justice Haynes. I figured he would have an immediate impact because I mean Alabama has a track record of recruiting elite running backs, and you don't always, even if you're a highly talented guy, that doesn't mean you see the field right away because there's likely someone ahead of you. So once they landed him, and to know what he had a little bit of a at some carries his first 2 years at Alabama, but I'm like, I knew he was talented, but like to actually see him hit these holes and breakaway speed, it's really impressive. And he runs harder. It's not like he goes down easy too. He can get a few extra yards here and there too. And I think the first couple of weeks, it was the offensive line wasn't doing him any favors, and he was getting hit at the line of scrimmage a lot too, and still getting some decent gains. So yeah, to lead the Big Ten in rushing at this point by a pretty good margin is pretty remarkable. I didn't have that on my bingo card to start the year. Offensive line, I think they are trending up, but I don't think it's been anything out of this world. And then as far as a disappointment, I still think I know before the season, all three of us. I mean, I think I was the least bullish on the receiving core entering the year, and I mean, Donovan McCulley has been the number one target so far, but he hasn't really put up number one receiver numbers, and the guys behind him haven't been supplemented the passing game very much too. I mean, Channing Goodwin and Samaj Morgan have played more than any other receivers. It's basically been those three guys on the field during meaningful snaps, and each of them have 4 drops, which ranks second in the country nationally. Not many explosive plays out of them, and yes, maybe some of them could be attributed to Bryce Underwood and maybe a little bit too much heat on some of the balls, but still, I still think the receiving corps has a lot of work to do if Michigan's passing game is trying to take it to the next level.
You think that's possible? Is it just McCulley asserting himself as the number one? Is it giving more playing time to some of the freshmen? I mean, they brought in some talented guys at that position, Andrew Marsh most notably. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, are the bodies in the room, or is it kind of wait until 2026 and beyond?
I mean, I think the one potential guy that you could see have a breakout year or maybe continue to emerge is Andrew March, just because, I mean, we've seen a little bit of flash. We've heard about his athleticism and big playability. It's just understanding the playbook, getting on the same page with Underwood, and just trying to learning the nuances of the college game too. It takes some time, but I think maybe his skill set is going to be too hard to ignore to get on the field. And if you're getting the drops from Channing Goodwin and you're not getting explosive plays from Samaj and Channing Goodwin too, then maybe you have to try and change things up a little bit too. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the ceiling of any of these current guys is very high besides Marsh. So yeah, but again, you are working with a freshman quarterback, so I think just having better chemistry as they go throughout the season will help. But I don't think it's going to be an explosive passing offense that just they start do a 180 and start passing 60% of the time compared to like 40% run.
And last year, of course, the top receiver was a tight end, and maybe that could be this year again. Marlon Klein started off really strong, great first game. So, but then he's been hurt, so maybe the bye week will, help him get closer to 100%, and he can be a factor in the pass game. How about the defense? I certainly thought statistically they'd rank better than they do right now. Number 36 in yards per game allowed nationally. The pass rush is there. The defensive line and moving Jayshon Barham to edge has been a game changer. He is just a monster out there. But overall, you're playing a lot of young guys in the secondary. Obviously had a lot of trouble with Oklahoma. Even Nebraska kind of put up some big statistics. Where's the defense at compared to like where it needs to be to keep Michigan in the hunt for a Big Ten title?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start on the back end, and yeah, we have seen it is a very inexperienced secondary, and so much so that Michigan has started a true freshman cornerback who didn't even take part in spring practices the last 2 games just because with Zeke Berry out. I don't think that many people expected that, and if they did expect a true freshman to be in there, it was probably going to be like a Shamari Earls, a top 100 guy. But I think Jaden Sanders has actually been. I thought he played the best out of all the cornerbacks against Nebraska. There was some blown coverages against the Cornhuskers, which was why Dylan Raiola was able to pass for 308 yards in that game. With Rod Moore not out there too until last game, and there's been some hiccups on the back end. But I think there's one position group that has shined. It's been the linebackers. I think Ernest Hausman has had a really good year. Cole Sullivan and Jimmy Rolder have just forced their way onto the field just from playing so well in their limited opportunities early, and then the Jayshon Barham suspension from the targeting allowed Michigan to see more of Rolder and Cole Sullivan, and they just kind of taken their opportunities and ran with them. And that's, I think, a big reason why too they've moved Barham to edge. And yeah, I mean, I think it would be foolish for Michigan not to stick with that for the rest of the year. He's been their most effective pass rusher, most dominant player on the edge, I think, this year so far. I think there's another gear to Derek Moore's game. He took a step forward against Nebraska, but he kind of had a slow first 3 games. TJ Guy was, I didn't expect him to kind of fall off like he has. I think Michigan wants more from him, needs more from him. And then I think the interior guys have been. I think it was a breakout game against Nebraska for like the Rayshon Bennies, of the world, Trey Pierce. But I think the first 3 games they were kind of so too. It's definitely evident that there isn't a Mason Graham and KG out there. But overall, I think they're headed like the offense, they're headed in the right direction, and there is. You feel comfortable that Wingster will be able to figure things out at some point this year, and they're going to get to a dominant level.
Life is beautiful and fragile. We fall. We get tired. And sometimes we get sick. But with Corewell Health, we are also strong. We fight disease. We battle cancer. We come together. We come back. We push forward. When the body breaks, we break through. Corewell Health. We can.
Last thing for Michigan through 4 games, Bryce Underwood. I would say the hype was real. He is very polished. Like it's clear at this point there was no reason not to start him from day one because, like, you already knew the talent was there, and man, he just has great command of the offense. He doesn't make too many mistakes. He does the little things you want from a quarterback. I think the future is just so bright with him, and the present looks pretty good too. Maybe just accelerating that learning curve is the difference between Michigan making the playoff and not this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's impressive is like he looks so composed in the pack. He doesn't get happy feet like he does. He doesn't seem panicked ever when he's in the pocket or scrambling. It's like he's confident in his reads and what he's doing. Yes, he's made some mistakes, made some throws he shouldn't have, hasn't been has had some miscommunication with his receivers, but it seems like he forgets it right away. It's on to the next play, and he doesn't dwell on it, which is really impressive for any quarterback, let alone a freshman. So yeah, there is definitely room for growth, and I think with him feeling more confident, being able to use his legs more, it could unlock even more potential out of him for the rest of the year. It's just he does need help around him too, especially with his pass catchers.
All right, so that's our thoughts on Michigan through 4 games. Let's take a trip around the Big Ten right now. Michigan doesn't play this Saturday, but there's some big games. Noon you got USC at Illinois. That's a top 25 matchup, and a team that Michigan will face in just a few weeks. In USC, 3:30 you got Ohio State at undefeated Washington. It's a, Buckeyes only favored by a touchdown in that game. And then, prime time, 7:30 NBC, Oregon at Penn State. Ryan, I know you do the Big Ten power rankings, so you're always checking in on these teams. Yeah, what's take the temperature of the Big Ten for us, like especially at the top and the teams that Michigan's going to face. Yeah, how is the league how does Michigan stack up to the rest of the league so far?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. What I kind of the exercise in my mind this morning is how do I think Michigan would fare against all these teams in a neutral site, and how many teams I think they would have a shot at beating. And it is still early; it's only 3-4 games in for a lot of these teams. Um, and right now, I mean, I think Penn State, Oregon probably losses. Ohio State, I mean, yes, they've had the Buckeyes' number, but just based on paper, I think Ohio State's the better team. But then, like, one of the surprises that I mean, even after just dismantling Illinois at home last week, is Indiana. I mean, is this team really, really that good? I still want to see more from the Hoosiers, even after how impressive that win over the Illini was. But even like a team like Washington, I mean, they've quietly been explosive offensively, and I think Desmond Williams is a very talented dual threat quarterback. They have one of the best running backs in the country, in my opinion, in Jonah Coleman. I don't think their defense is very good, but that Ohio State Washington game with Ohio State going to the West Coast. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. But yeah, no, it's pretty wide open, I think, so far. And with Michigan's schedule, I think there's a chance that they could they could be in contention to play in the Big Ten title game come December.
Yeah, I know in our Big Ten picks, you took the points with Washington, yes, if I'm remembering.
I did, yeah, and that
Hmm.
line from what we got has shifted now. I think it was 9.5 and
Yeah.
down to 7.5. So that's I saw that. I'm like, man, maybe I should be on Washington then. I don't know. I didn't feel good about it because I still feel like Ohio State, when they want to turn it on,
Yeah.
they can, and especially against a defense, Washington's defense. I think Ohio State could win by a couple touchdowns and still give up a few touchdowns too. So it's a tough slate for me. I didn't feel really. I've had an awful year picking Big Ten games, but this week I felt like the least confident. So maybe that'll help turn things around for me.
Uh, Feels like a big game for Penn State here. I know it's the Big Ten opener, but if this is their year, you should probably win your Big Ten opener. And again, they still have to go to Ohio State. They host Indiana. Oregon, on the other hand, they host Indiana, but that's it. I mean, they don't have any other real tough road games. They don't play Ohio State, so this is a huge game to decide the Big Ten. I took Penn State. I laid the 3.5 points. I believe in them, and I do think they're going to win this game. But excited to watch it on Saturday night.
No, that's the marquee matchup of the week. I mean, it's a whiteout, which are always fun to watch. I saw the clip from I think 2018 when Michigan or 2017 when Michigan went in there with Shea Patterson and just the opening kickoff and just how loud it was, and Michigan getting a false start or a delayed game penalty before they even were able to snap the first play of the game. It could be a pretty raucous environment. So that's why I also took Penn State too. I think with that crowd, they're and still Oregon still a little bit unproven with a lot of breaking in a lot of new starters. They've been really good, but I don't think they've been really tested yet. It'll be interesting to see how Dante Moore handles that environment. But yeah, no, that will be whoever wins that game will have a big leg up the rest of the way. And I think if Penn State can get that win, yeah, I mean, it will probably cement a playoff spot for them, even if they lose a game or two the rest of the way. But yeah, it's still hard to trust James Franklin, though, man. I think 3 and something and 19 against top 10 teams in his career. It's hard.
4-20 is what I have,
Oh,
but I'm
yeah,
not sure exactly.
it's hard. It's hard to ignore that stat, but yeah, like you said, if this is going to be their year, you gotta have a statement win out there and a marquee win, and this is an opportunity to do that.
As far as the teams Michigan plays, one Big Ten game down, 8 to go. Wisconsin next when they return from the bye. Wisconsin also off this week. Worse than we thought going in. Not really a threat. USC maybe a little better. Definite threat. Toss-up game. Washington, decent team, but Michigan's got them at home. I'd give them the edge there. Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern should be easy wins.
Cakewalks. Yeah.
At Maryland, not a major threat.
But they've been better than I expected to this year.
Yeah, maybe lean towards a win, but yeah, not a toss up, but not a don't write it down yet in pen. And then Ohio State obviously at the end. So I don't know. This as far as who's Michigan going to play and what it means for the season predictions, I'm still holding it 9-3 because they already have the one loss. I think they're gonna. I'd have to really see something in the next couple of weeks to change my pick on Michigan at USC. And then that leaves, no more room for error. And I just think they probably are going to lose to Ohio State or Maryland or Washington. They'll drop one other along the way. But that USC game now looking like a major swing game. This Wisconsin game looking like a chance to continue your momentum after the bye week.
Yeah, no, man, how much longer does Luke Fickell have in Madison? Their schedule does not get any easier after Michigan too. They have an absolute gauntlet the rest of the year. They might not win another game. It's things have gone from bad to worse for the Badgers. So yeah, I think Michigan absolutely rolls in that one too. But yeah, no, USC. It will be interesting to see how Michigan handles going out there. I think Michigan's offense will be able to move the ball against USC. It's just a matter of being able to contain their offense. They've been able to run the ball, throw the ball with relative ease. But yeah, they also haven't faced the defense like Michigan yet either. I mean, Michigan State's defense has been horrible this year, even against teams that weren't expected to be very explosive offensively. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, no, I think that's why I have USC ahead of Michigan in my power rankings too. Like they've taken care of business on their schedule and are still undefeated. And I can't just pretend that the Oklahoma loss didn't happen for Michigan. Yes, they've been better, but that was a difficult performance for them to open up their on the road this year in week 2.
All right. Well, yeah, no Michigan football game this Saturday. So, I don't know, get out there, get a pumpkin or pick some apples or spend some time with your family or watch some of these other great games we just talked about. I don't know, Ryan, if you have any other, hockey news. I could share some basketball stuff. Like practice started this week for men and women. NCAA rule, it's like 30 practices over 42 days leading up to your season opener. So we're within that window now. Haven't seen these practices, but we'll get to next week. So at least on the men's side and talk to Dusty and some of the players. There's been some recruiting news since our last couple of weeks. They picked up 2 more commitments, so they now have 3 in the 2026 class. Marcus Moeller, the from Denmark, 7'2" center. That was a while ago. And then Quinn Costello, kind of a classic stretch 4, 6'9", 6'10", but a really good 3-point shooter. Kind of, you play him at power forward or and let him pull his man away from the basket. And then just yesterday, Malachi Brown, kind of out of nowhere. He's a 6'8" forward who had one other offer from UC Santa Barbara before Michigan. Sounds like Michigan got wind of him. Dusty went out to see him, offered him, and he was like, yeah, I'll take that. I had no, I guess had really no, illusions of playing high major basketball, or at least high majors were not interested in him as recently as like this summer. But that changed, and Michigan trying to get this kid kind of on the upswing. So that's some recruiting news and practices starting, but we'll have more in these coming weeks as Michigan hosts its media day and then the Big Ten hosts its media day. And I'll be at both of those.
Yeah, very good. And yeah, hockey season's right around the corner too. We have a preseason Zoom call with head coach Brandon Naurato and players this afternoon on Thursday, and we'll have some preview coverage leading up to next week's season opener on Friday night against Mercyhurst. Yeah, Friday, Saturday at home. October 3rd and 4th, kicking off the 25-26 season. So it always comes quick. But yeah, hockey season's long, and it's getting, their Wolverines are looking to kind of right the wrongs from last year. And I know, Coach Narado was very disappointed with how last year ended, missed the tournament for the first time since 2019. Have a completely revamped roster with 14 new players and a lot of talent, but a lot of young talent as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in 25-26. Open the season number 12 in the U.S. College Hockey Online preseason poll. 6 of the 7 Big Ten teams are ranked, so it's a difficult conference, but it should be a fun year in the Big Ten. A lot of talent across the board in the conference.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have coverage of these winter sports here as we get closer to those seasons starting. But for the most part, it's a lot of football on MLive.com/Wolverines. We thank you for reading there, and we thank you for listening.